Welcome back to Cleveland Krantovania. My name is Nicole Kusold-Matteo, and I'm happy to be moderating tonight's session on Slovenian dual citizenship. Today we'll be discussing how one would apply to become a citizen of the Republic of Slovenia and what would be entailed in that process. Tonight, I want to give a warm welcome to Alenka Jerak, the Consul General of Slovenia, who will be presenting on this topic. Mrs. Jerak has recorded her presentation, and if you're watching live on Facebook and YouTube, I'd invite you to leave your comments and questions in the comments, and we will incorporate those in a Q&A session that is live and will follow the presentation. In general, I do want to make note that regarding your questions about dual citizenship, we will not be able to answer specific questions about your specific circumstances and eligibility for citizenship, but we will definitely be able to cover more general and broad topics related to the process and eligibility in a general sense. So if you have specific questions, please hold those for an offline conversation with the Consul General and her office. We'll provide information on how to contact her, but again, we invite more general questions. So please feel free to post those in the comments section of our YouTube and Facebook streams. Finally, if you're watching live on Facebook and YouTube right now, you can always revisit this session and sharing the session with others by sharing the link as you will. Without further ado, I'd now like to turn it over to the Consul General Alenka Jerak for her presentation on dual citizenship for the Republic of Slovenia.
Good evening to all listeners and viewers of the Krantovania, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to tell you a little bit more, a short lecture maybe, about the dual nationality or how to obtain the Slovenian citizenship. First, I would like to tell you some things about the Slovenian law, especially Slovenian Citizenship Act, which is the basic law to get citizenship. And then I would like to point out the conditions that need to be fulfilled for you. And after that, also the documents needed to submit the application for the citizenship. Now, according to Slovenian law, I already mentioned it, Slovenian Citizenship Act. Though I'm studied international law, and this is quite a complicated law, I will try to be for you as much simple as possible. In advance, I will ask you if you have additional questions, if you have some doubts, please first go to our website of the consulate. You have there listed all the documents you need with detailed explanations, how the procedure works. And if you don't know or if you don't understand something, please do call us, call our office in the working hours, and we will be more than glad to help you answer your questions. Now, according to Slovenian law, you can get citizenship, Slovenian citizenship, of course, by birth on the territory of Slovenia, by origin, when one or both parents are Slovenians. And this will probably apply for most of you. And by naturalization, that means admission to Slovenian citizenship on the basis of application. And there must be a special requirements or conditions to be fulfilled. And the main thing is that it should exist national interest to get you to the Slovenian citizenship. And the fourth way is under international agreement, but this won't apply to Slovenian community here in the US. As you probably know, Slovenia in general advocates one citizenship, but if there are, or if there are uh, reciprocity, and reciprocity has been established together with the US, you can also have, without any problem, dual citizenship or dual nationality. Now, let us go to the possibilities for you as a part of the Slovenian immigrant community. How can you get the Slovenian citizenship? I already mentioned to you it's possible by origin with application, and we distinct actually by the law two ways of applying for it. The first one is if you are not 18 yet, so if you are minor. And the second possibility is in the age of up of 18 and then to 36. I will talk about naturalization and extraordinary naturalization a little bit later and the national authorities. But let's first focus on the getting the citizenship by origin. So, by origin, it means with registration and application. Now I said, when the person is minor, not 18 yet, we use these articles for a child who is born with at least one parent who is a Slovenian, born abroad, and the parent need to be Slovenian at the time of his or her birth. And this minor acquires citizenship as long as she is registered at the age of 18. Uh, Prior to this is very important now, prior to submit the citizenship application, which is in the minor's case done by the parent who is a Slovenian citizen, parent status changes. For example, registration of marriage, residence, change of name, and other things must be regulated and registered with Slovenian authorities. If they are not, you cannot go on with the process. It should be registered. So, in application for the kid, the documents to be submitted and filled out are application form for registration. As I mentioned before, it should be done by Slovenian citizen parent, and it should be completed and signed by the parent. Then we need to have original child's birth certificate. You get it from vital records of the federal state of birth. And but I need to warn you because there are often questions. This certificate remains in the records in Slovenia with Slovenian authority, and unfortunately you cannot get it back. It cannot be returned. So take care of this for the procedure. Third, we need the birth certificate because it is US birth certificate. That means foreign document for Slovenian authorities. It should be certified with apostille seal. You can get apostille seal from the competent authority in the federal state that issued also birth certificate. In Ohio, this is Secretary of State. Both, now, very important again, both birth certificate and apostille paper, seal we say, need to be translated to Slovenian language because in Slovenia, in front of the Slovenian authorities, Slovenian language is the official language. Okay, beside of one part Hungarian and Italian, but in general, it should be all the documents should be translated to Slovenian language, which requires certifications by the representative office, unless the translation was prepared by the Slovenian court interpreter. And I will say something more about this. Please note that translations need to be provided by the applicant. Consulate is not offering the translate services. And I would also like to warn you that translations using Google Translate are not adequate because if you just put it in, sometimes it doesn't make sense at all. So please avoid this. And additional thing that I wanted to say is that on our website there is a list of translators. However, we do not guarantee for their quality or we don't know the prices. There is a list, and you can choose of the translators given to do translation for you. Now, uh, if the child's parents are not married, actually were not married at the time of the child's birth, they need to sign a paternity statement in person at our consulate. That means that, for example, father is recognizing this child as his child. Uh, then we need also parents' birth or death certificates. This must be originals. Uh, I forgot to tell you about if you have maybe this kind of Slovenian documents that they are officially recognized without any authentication. So no additional certification is needed or something else, and even copies are accepted because they are Slovenian documents and Slovenian authorities have the registration of the facts that you are presenting. So another thing what you will have to submit is completed form for registration of permanent address and the form for registration to the electoral roll. So the child is registered into the electoral roll after the registration of birth. And then we would also need permission to copy your personal documents, and prepared express courier envelope. This is the envelope from U.S. Postal Service, UPS, FedEx. The main thing is that it should have a tracking number and it should be addressed from our consulate to your address, that you will be able to receive the birth certificate by mail. Um, so if prepared envelope is not provided with your application, unfortunately, then the certificates will be sent by regular UPS mail. And of course, you must understand the consulate cannot guarantee that the shipment to you will be delivered. So we really strongly advise to give us prepaid express courier envelope. Now, we would also ask you to include a cover letter with your contact information, stating, of course, what you are applying for, and the complete list of the enclosed documents. If you didn't have time to write it down or you have some additional questions, again, you have listed all documents that you need and forms to fulfill on our website. So go there, please, print them, fulfill them, and then you can bring it along. Then another thing is that I want to point out is that the consular fee uh, should be paid. For the time being, it's amount on $70 and need to be paid by money order and made out to Consulate General of Slovenia, Cleveland. However, no personal checks or credit debit cards are accepted for the time being. And please note, since the taxes are changing each month, they are due to the exchange rate, US dollar, euro. So we would really and kindly ask you to call the office and check the amount of the taxes before you write the money order. Because as I said, we don't know in advance. I even cannot tell you right now how much the tax for submission for the application for the citizenship for your child is going to be, because we don't know how many documents you have in original, how many things do we need to certify, and uh, uh, and as I said, the consular fee is changing, not much, $1, maybe a few cents, but still we need to have on your money order the exact amount of the consular fee for your application. Let me just point it out, when both parents are Slovenians, even if the child is born abroad, then there is no deadline at all to submitting such a request. You just let us know with the documents that I mentioned and that you want to register your child with the Slovenian citizenship. Now, the second possibility, if the child is more, if there is not child anymore, so that means by our law after 18 years old age, then you have a chance to submit your application and of course registration till the age of 36. So that means again, if the child is born abroad to one parent, at least one parent, who is a Slovenian citizen at the time of the child's birth, of course, and whether the other parent is a foreign citizen and was not registered as Slovenian citizen by his parents because before 18 years old, then you can acquire for the citizenship by origin. You have to give us the statement prior reaching the age of 36, and in case that your Slovenian citizenship has not been terminated on the basis of dismissal, reunification, or revocation. Again, I need to state out parents' marriage and the other status changing, as I mentioned before, change of the permanent address, name change, marriage status, divorce, or even if you're widowed, need to be registered with the Slovenian authorities prior to the submission of your application. Again, I can go quickly through the documents that need to be submitted. So there is application form, birth certificate, of course, from the state, the federal state that you were born. We need originals and apostille, and of course, both of them need to be translated into Slovenian language. Then you need birth or death certificates from your parents if they are born abroad, of course. If they are born in Slovenia, then you need just enough. The copies will be accepted. If you don't have originals, don't bother about it. Again, if the parents were not married, then we need a paternity statement made in person at the consulate. Then you need to submit registration form, a permanent address, the electoral roll, and of course permission to copy personal documents, prepaid express courier envelope, and the consular fee. Again, check with our office how high the amount of the fee is in that month that you are going to apply for the citizenship, and enclose a cover letter, again, with your contact information stating what you are applying for and the complete list of the requirement or enclosed documents. Then we are at the third possibility, which is mostly used beside the mentioned two for the Slovenian community here. So, and it comes in case that you are 36 or older, that you cannot register as a Slovenian citizen anymore, but you can apply for the Slovenian citizenship based on the provisions of Article 13 of the Slovenian Citizenship Act. And we called it extraordinary naturalization, if you fulfill, of course, the requirements by the law. And usually we use these articles for individuals who are Slovenian descent up to the second generation in their direct descent. This has been changed in 2017. So if you have your grandparents Slovenian, you are eligible to submit and you fit into this category that you are liable to uh, make application for your citizenship under this article. Uh, so you should have Slovenian descent, second generation, not more. If you cannot register for citizenship that you are older than 36, or none of your parents are registered as a Slovenian citizen, or in the case that you were released from Slovenian citizenship due to the justifiable reasons, and you would like to apply again for the admission. So in this case, there is another thing that it should be fulfilled, and this is the interest of our homeland. We call it national interests, that we will give you the citizenship. Usually in the law, there is stated scientific, economic, cultural, national, or other similar reasons. Now, the existence of those circumstances, that means national interest to get you the Slovenian citizenship and justify the reasons for this kind of citizenship being granted to you, is established by the government of the Republic of Slovenia and on the basis of the opinion of the governmental office for Slovenes abroad. Well, maybe 7 years ago, consulates and the embassies were asked to make some kind of recommendations, but now we don't do this anymore because there are authorities, as I mentioned, especially the governmental office for Slovenia abroad, in charge to do that. Now, however, in the procedure, you as an applicant, you must demonstrate Slovenian descent up to the second generation, as I already mentioned. Additionally, there is a multi-annual active and live connection with Slovenia, and at least 5 years of activities in Slovenian associations, schools, minority organizations, whatever, but Slovenian institutions, organizations abroad. That mean in the US. And you as an applicant, you should provide the recommendations of the relevant organizations confirming your active connections with the Republic of Slovenia. So uh, if you are active at Slovenska Pristava can give you this kind of recommendation. Or Slovenian school, if you were at St. Mary's, St. Vitus, whatever, you can ask the directors to give you they have records to give you this kind of confirmation. If you are acting in, I don't know, KSKJ or SMPJ, ask them to issue you this kind of letter stating out that you were 5 or more years active within their organizations. However, exceptions from above mentioned criteria can only be granted, can be excused, but only from the government of Republic of Slovenia. And this is very, very rarely. Most people, as I said, they are given with the documents proof for their active connection with Slovenia, and most of them have no problems to submit a letter or recommendation from the Slovenian institution, church, school, whatever it is, for their enrollment within this organization. Now let me go to the documents that need to be submitted. There are quite a lot of them in this case, much more than in previous two that I've already explained. So, beside completed application form, which is pretty long, I have to admit, which should be filled out and signed by the applicant, you need to submit birth certificate, especially if you were born here, I mean abroad, out of Slovenia, whatever it is, even Germany, Austria, whatever. Marriage certificate, if you have uh, been married abroad, so that means out of Slovenia, then you need to write detailed biography. We called it curriculum vitae, and it should be, I point this out, in Slovenian, because your application and everything should be in Slovenian. Then the further documents are proof of the current citizenship. You can submit as travel documents, certificate of citizenship, I don't know, driving license, and no, driving license not. It should be, excuse me, it should be mostly passport or some other document that proves with the picture that you are American citizen. And then what is most needed is um, documents from your parents or grandparents or other ancestors. Now, up to second generation in straight line, of course, as I stated before, or other proofs of Slovenian origin. If birth certificate does not directly prove this, for example, if you were born in Austria or Germany, it might not be stated your Slovenian nationality. Then, as I mentioned before, proof of the membership in some kind of Slovenian association or institution. And then additionally, FBI certificate of impunity. It should be in original, issued by a competent authority for criminal records. We have Federal Bureau of Investigation in Ohio, in Columbus, and you can get it there. And of course, permission to copy your personal documents. And again, we ask you to enclose a cover letter with your contact information stating what you are applying for and the complete list of the enclosed documents. Now, I have to be very frank with you. The consular fee to apply for this kind of citizenship is the highest that we have. And for the time being, the cost is the consular fee is $434. And additional to that, there are some post costs, of course, if when you are going to do the encoded letter. Then, if we need to verify some photocopies or your signature, and you will have to pay additionally if you don't know Slovene for the translation. But as I said, if you don't know how to proceed, if you are stuck, if you are not sure whether you have enough documents or not, please let us know. We will help you as much as possible. The basic informations are always on our website. And additional informations, or if you don't understand anything, though it's also in English, you can always check with our office. Now, all US documents, this is very, very important, must be not only translated into Slovenian language, but also legalized with an apostille seal. So I recommend that you should first obtain the original birth and marriage certificate at vital records, for example, and then verify them with the competent authority on the procedure of obtaining apostille seal, and then translate all together with the apostille, not only birth certificate. So both documents need to be translated into Slovenian. Now, again, as in previous procedures, original documents, certificates, remain in the records in Slovenia and cannot be returned. So if you need them in case, I don't know, for any other procedure here or in Slovenia, before submitting them to us, please make a photocopy at home for your archive. Um, I need to state out also for the FBI certificates that it should not be older than 3 months because they're not accepted in Slovenia. I know that this might cause, and the same goes in these difficult times for the birth certificate, and it lasts longer. It's hard to get them quickly, but please be patient. This is what it is needed. And in comparison, I don't know that you are 40, 50, 60 years old, you will also wait another month or two to get the necessary documents. So please be patient and try to get them, but I stated Slovenian authorities will refuse them and they will ask you, we have such cases, they will ask you to get new documents if they are older than 3 months. This goes only for the FBI certificate, not for the birth certificate or other. Now, if you have Slovenian documents, as I stated before, Slovenian documents are okay. They are officially recognized without any authentication. You don't need to do anything. And the copies are accepted, of course. Simultaneously, there is a possibility for your minor children, if they are not 18, that you submit, if you want, also application for them to become a Slovenian citizens. And there is another thing, is if the child is more than 14, that we need her or his consent to acquire this citizenship. So this is the only condition. And of course, the documents of the child that I stated before. Now, since this process of extraordinary naturalization usually lasts quite long, it might be year and a half. So it's also time consuming. And with all the documents that you need to collect, submit, send, and then wait, and very often we also get additional requirements from the Slovenian authorities. We strongly advise, if it's possible, to appoint your personal representative in Slovenia. This might be a family member, friend, legal advisor, whoever. And with the power of attorney, your representative can file the application on your behalf at the Ministry of Interior of Slovenia, which is authorized actually to produce this kind of application. And but nevertheless, if you don't want to do this, you can also do it yourself and put the submission via our office, via our Consular General. There is no problem if you want to do that way. So additionally to this provision, if there is a national interest that I stated before, the Slovenian authorities have discretion right that they accept even a person as a Slovenian citizen who has lost the citizenship on the basis of remission or reunification of citizenship if the person actually lives in Slovenia continuously, but the condition is 6 months before submitting the application. Normally, as I from my experience, the you as a Slovenian community here, usually you don't go under this provision because most of you are living here, not in Slovenia. But I just mention it because there is possibility to do that. Then, in case, then we are for the fourth actually possibility uh, to check actually. We say determine or establish the citizenship. We use this procedure in the case if of an adult who does not know whether either his parents or grandparents, have had a Slovenian citizenship. Maybe they immigrated from the territory of Slovenia decades ago. They are not registered in the civil books. They didn't enter the registered in Slovenia, and so on and so forth. We have quite a lot of requirements for determination of citizenship to find it out here in Cleveland from the members of the Slovenian community. So in the procedure, Slovenian authorities determine Slovenian citizenship for an applicant, taking into account, but this is very important now, the regulations on citizenship that were in force in first condition, today's Slovenian territory at the time of this person's birth and until the moment that his citizenship is determined. So the process is quite lengthy and demanding a lot of time because old legislation and all the circumstances of the case need to be examined from your grandparents, your parents, and even maybe you if you were in that territory born there and so on and so forth. And uh, I don't know, in the most cases that we have, we were successful and the people got positive answer. There are many, many reasons why those people, but mostly due to the circumstances at that time that they were there, didn't get registered or they were not uh, in the civil books of Slovenian, or they were not at the Slovenian territory, whatever. So the documents in this process that they are needed are, again, birth certificate for those were born abroad, of course, apostille, and of course, both of them, again, need to be translated into Slovenian language. Then we would need marriage certificate, especially if it was concluded abroad. So if it was concluded in Slovenia, then photocopy will do if you have it. If the surname does not show the surname after the conclusion of the marriage, a certified statement of the surname decided at the time of the marriage must also be attached. That means if you were married and you didn't change, for example, your last name after the marriage, we should have a certified statement of you, which last name you will need after your marriage. Then proof of citizenship is, if necessary, the elderly people people, must submit any document that they own proving citizenship or homeland. Uh, for example, birth certificate for themselves, for their parents, old passport, military ID will do, Baptist certificate, Ellis Island immigration document, everything, every paper, every old document that will say that your parents, grandparents are Slovenian nationality, nationals, excuse me. So I know that this is a quite demanding job, but this is how it works. I explained it later about this and why we are requiring so many documents. Then, of course, we will need biography. It should be again in Slovenian language. Birth certificate, as I mentioned, from parents, grandparents, and any other relatives that you have. Other proofs of Slovenian origin, if extracts from both the birth certificate register do not directly prove it, and proof of membership of the Slovenian Association. This is again, but what we have already had, and FBI certificate of impunity. I mentioned it before, and then of course the consular tax for the procedure should be paid with our office with money order. Again, I would ask you to check the amount of the consular fee after we do that, because I don't know in advance. We don't know in advance how many documents need to be verified, the signatures, the photocopies of your American documents, for example, passports, which need to be, I mean, this is without any fee, but still we need to confirm it and legalize it. So, but just the consular tax for this procedure is quite a lot, but still not so much as in the previous procedure. It's $222 for the time being. It might change, I don't know, dollar or two less or more. It depends of the rate exchange, but still. And additional thing, on the first page of your application in this procedure, you must state the proxy. If the client who permanently lives abroad, and this is your case, exercise a right, actually, excuse me, it is a law, I will say it this way, it is a law when you permanently live abroad and you exercise a right in an administrative procedure in Slovenia, you need to have a proxy. This is the law. It works for all of us, and you will just need to name somebody as a proxy. It can be any adult who is fully capable of business, and the most important, and why you are doing this is because he or she needs to live in Slovenia with a permanent residence in Slovenia. Now, I will explain why this procedure might be complicated and why all those documents are needed. Now, information about the parents and the spouse is absolutely necessary in order to determine citizenship. Because the citizenship is acquired by the parents, so that later generations are judged according to the regulations in form, which were which were in force in the time of your birth. So again, women, for example, who married until August, it is stated August 28, 45, usually follow their husbands in citizenship. So our authorities need information about their marriage and their husband's citizenship. Now, personal data, for example, for your relatives in Slovenia or any other republic of the former Yugoslavia, maybe, or others, those data are necessary for faster determination of your citizenship as the descendant of the same ancestor, especially male descendants, acquired citizenship on the same legal basis. So, citizenship of you as living abroad can therefore be established more quickly on the basis of the entry of a civil register of your parents, brothers, sisters, or others who live or have lived in Slovenia until their death. This is why it is important not only the old law and legislation that need to be obtained, but also for the family tree. And when this is why this procedure needs, again, as the previous one, some time. It might last from half a year till a year because all old legislation must be uh, must be obtained, and your relatives uh, should be found whether they're registered, whether they're not registered, whether they are Slovenes, they are not Slovenes, and the all documents have to be checked. At the end of the procedure, you will be issued a declaration decision, which could be positive or negative. Positive will say to you that, in simple words, that you already have Slovenian citizenship, and the negative, of course, that you don't have it. In case, mostly we have a positive cases, so answers. So because the people have some kind of nationality proof from the parents or grandparents, but due to the circumstances and especially after the war, they were not registered, so they're not sure, even for the parents, if they were Slovenians or not. So, but mostly, as I said, mostly we have a positive answers from our authorities. In case that you will get a negative answer, that you do not, uh, that you are not a Slovenian citizen, you always can apply with an extraordinary naturalization, as I stated you before. This is so-called Article 13 of the Slovenian Citizenship Act. So I already stated the documents and the requirements that they are needed, but with a national interest, especially if you are active within the Slovenian community here at least 5 years, and that you have parents or grandparents, Slovenian nationality, and the citizenship, there usually is not a problem to get a citizenship. However, of course, the consular tax is a little bit higher. I hope I was not too long. I hope I was clear enough. In case that I were not, we will have some time for questions and answers. I will just ask you not to put questions which applies directly to you. Maybe more questions which are general, and it can be obtained for all. Because I have to state, in the citizenship matters, each case is unique. There is not a one case which is similar. Maybe for brothers and sisters, they have the similar documents of the parents, but even at that point, we need to take be very precautious of all of details and circumstances. So before I end, I would just like to again uh, ask you to pay attention for some general remarks. So prior to the submission of the application, all status changes, that means registration of marriage, change of the last man, permanent residence address, this kind of things must be regulated and registered. You can do it through us. You can find all the answers and forms to submit this kind of application on our website. Second thing, all US documents, certificates mostly, must be in originals and certified with an apostille seal. Besides that, they have to be translated in Slovenian language by applicants. We are not offering translation services because we do not have it. For Slovenian documents, as I said before, copies are accepted, no problem at all. Now, the another thing, as I stated a few times, and I will repeat it now, please, before you write a money order for the consular fee, check with us the current amount of the fee because they're changing each month. And secondly, after you will submit the documents, we will see what additional, upon to the basic consular fee, you will need to pay. If there is to be certified, I don't know, the signature, the additional verification of something, unfortunately, there is a consular tax for fee and you will have to pay it. But this is just a small amount in comparison with how high the consular fee, for example, for the extraordinary naturalization or determination is. So don't worry about it, but check it out with our office or our website, the amount before you write money order. Then another thing that I stated already, but still, original certificates, I don't know, birth, marriage, death, remain in the records in Slovenia. So you will not get them back. They need to stay there to serve as a proof in the procedure. And then don't forget, usually people forget to enclose a cover letter with your contact information, with your with your statement, what are you applying for, and please do a complete list of the documents that you are attaching. And another thing which I think is quite important, you can to let you know when the procedures, whatever basis, whatever articles we use, are finished, you cannot apply for the Slovenian passport until you get decision for Slovenian authorities, you signed it. You will get then, if you applied as a new applicant, you will get the certificate from Slovenia and you will get a Slovenian ID number. Without that number, that lasts maybe additional week, 14 days sometimes. Now it's very hard to say to me how long it will last because we don't have normal circumstances. Usually we get it in a week or 2 weeks or something like this. So before that, Slovenian ID number, you cannot apply for the Slovenian passport. I want you to be clear, not to expect, oh, the day when I'm going to get the positive answer, I can already have a Slovenian passport. No, it doesn't work this way. There is another thing I would like to point you out. And I find this quite important because people maybe do not think when they're applying it this way. You know that every citizenship gives you a person possibility to enter a special country. In our case, it is Slovenia, in the system, which gives you rights, uh, but also responsibilities. The rights that you get with the citizenship, either is it a right to vote, a right to get a Slovenian passport, a right that you move free within the Schengen area or EU, or maybe to travel with a Slovenian passport without a visa in the third country, in opposite to the US, that it might citizens there that they might need visa to travel to certain third party, to enroll in the EU schools, for example, and colleges easier and cheaper as a Slovenian citizen. The right to, I don't know, equal participate in the competitions for scientific projects, financing with public funds, or the right to acquire property rights or real estate or something like this, though you have this also as a foreign citizen. But you must not forget that getting or having a citizenship also means obeying the Slovenian law and obligations. I often hear, I'm a Slovenian by heart for a long time, but I haven't had time to collect all the documents. But also, I have to admit you, and that makes me sometimes pretty sad. What are the benefits that I can get as a Slovenian citizen? And from those people, I have never ever heard the question, and what are going to be my responsibilities when and if I get a citizenship? You know, most people respect law and responsibilities here as US citizens, simply knowing that this is the way it should be. But I'm asking you, what about the responsibility on and obligations from your second country and dual nationality, out of dual nationality, if you get a Slovenian citizens? Are they worth less? I don't think so. Example, for example, uh, lately Slovenian authorities sent out letters informing people who left Slovenia maybe 30 or even more years ago that they still didn't change their permanent residence address in Slovenia, as they should according to the Slovenian law long time ago. You have 3 months to change it. And suddenly the same people are asking, oh my gosh, what is that now? Why do I have to do that? Why should I do that? Because I'm visiting Slovenia each year, maybe 2 years, 5 years, and maybe I'll get a cottage there in the future, or when I even have an apartment there. But the point is, you are prominent, those people, not you, those people are permanently living in the US, not there in Slovenia. And my question is, would you dare living on the different addresses and not change them in the US? Of course not, certainly not. This is what I'm talking about. Don't get me wrong. Saying that I definitely want to fright you, or that I do not want you, that I do not want to discourage you to apply for the Slovenian citizenship, you know. But I just want to make you aware of that if you decide to have a second nationality, a Slovenian citizenship, you are required to obey the laws, and you get rights but as well obligations of both countries. So I will stay online for additional questions. You are most welcome. As I said, I would just ask you to put ahead, to go ahead with the general questions, not the ones specific to you in person, because then this lecture may last long and long and long, and encourage you in case that you have questions. Uh, please do contact our office and visit our website. For the time being, thank you for your attention. I hope I was clear enough, though it is a complicated procedure with the citizenship always, as I stated before, and requires to obey a lot of legislation, not only the Citizen of Act. And yeah, I'm here to answer also your question. Thank you very much and have a nice evening.
Welcome back. Thank you so much, Consul General, for that informative presentation on all the steps involved in applying to become a dual citizen of the Republic of Slovenia and everything that would be involved in that process. As you might imagine, we have a number of questions that have come in from our viewers on YouTube and Facebook. Before we get into that, I'd first like to invite you to give a brief introduction to yourself and talk a little bit about, in general, what your work at the Consul General's office is involves, and something about the kinds of work that you guys do.
Good evening to all of you, and thank you for having me. I know it's late, and I know exactly that. Thank you for all who are keeping up with us, because I know that explaining legislation is the most boring thing in the world, and especially if the legislation is quite complex. It is not just one law, but many laws combining it. So I just hope that you catch some ideas. What is it about, and how can you actually apply? Of course, if you want citizenship, if you like to get Slovenian now, sign the citizenship. Yes, we are doing well. We are doing we are doing economy, culture, science, and we are very, very busy since we will have, if not in line, spiritual, we have 50 years of anniversary of our independence. So we aimed, actually, we plan to have some big events in many states, not only here in Cleveland, Ohio, but also others, because we are covering, we say we are in charge for 10 federal states, mostly Midwest, including California and Pennsylvania. But we will see how the things are going to go, and then we will take over the presidency of the EU. This is again the chance that the country who is taking presidency presents itself not only within the EU, but also because we are here in the third country out of EU, so also to the local community and to the states. And third, but not least, it's that we have, I would say, we are proud to get the title that Slovenia is in 2021 European Region of Gastronomy. That means, besides Kurentovanje, who already started with the gastronomy and the cooking presentations and dishes presentations, that we are also going to do that in the future as much as possibly, hopefully in the second part of the year live. And till then, probably we will try to do as we did before with a virtual event.
Thank you for that. So with that, I guess let's get started on trying to answer some questions that have come in from our viewers right now. Let's talk a little bit about timing. So once I've gathered all of my documents together, and I submit them to your office, about how long would that process take thereafter?
It depends which process are you going through and which application have you submitted, actually, because it depends. If they're going to determine this was the last possibility, that you explored everything else and you don't know whether you have parents, grandparents, Slovenian, it will take longer because our authorities need to go through all old legislation. That means legislation before the war, if you were born before the war, during the war, after the war, not only for you, but also for your parents and grandparents, for example. So it might take a year, and now with the pandemic, probably a little bit more, because they're all also not full-time working. So they're working half in shifts from home, so it takes a little bit time. Beside that, since we are talking about the timing and the influence of pandemic, I have to admit that we also have a problem with the mail from Slovenia and the opposite. That everything lasts. It's here, for example. You also have to wait much longer time to get your birth certificate, especially FBI, for example, certificate. So it takes time. But, I'm also taking it from the positive side. I'm telling the people, look, if you had waited 60 years or 50 years, another month, it won't make much time. Unless you are very, very ill, but hopefully not. We don't have this kind of case. So a year, if they are trying, if you just register a kid, then it will be up to 1 month or something like that. So it depends on for what are you applying and how many documents in Slovenia the authorities has to go through. Whether is it the current legislation only, or it is legislation from long time ago.
Perfect, thank you. Can you talk about some of the reasons that people come to your office seeking dual citizenship?
Well, most of the people that we've got or that I've met, they are doing it out of, I would say, proud to be Slovenian, pride. Then that they felt Slovenian since ever, but they never ever managed to prepare themselves, to collect all the papers, or to go to to research their family tree, and they found out lately, and not so many people are coming as for searching for the benefit. What's the benefit? I tried to explain already, because directly we don't have such people, but sometimes why I pointed out what I pointed at the end of my presentation is that people really sometimes, whether they are forgetting or just I don't know, they don't think of it, that actually whatever you need to do up to the US legislation, you need to do also as a Slovenian citizen. And the legislation in Slovenia is in many fields. For example, taxation, for example, possibility to buy an apartment or a house. The Slovenian citizens are in many things of, I would say the opposite. The foreigners are in many parts of legislation equal to the Slovenian citizens. So I would say mostly out of love, out of feeling, and maybe out of pride. Because the other things you can have. If you want to buy a house, if you want to buy an apartment, you can buy it as a US citizen, no problem at all, for example.
Thank you for that. So along kind of with that as a follow-up, when we're talking about people who would be traveling to Slovenia or even another EU country as a dual citizen, can you talk a little bit about the mechanics of traveling with two passports? Like, for example, I'm taking a trip, or I'm going on a one-way ticket, something like that, from the US to Slovenia. I have two passports in my hand. What do I do?
you know that you have to decide which passport you are going to use before, because when you are booking your air ticket, you already have to put inside, even if you do it yourself or the agency, your passport number. And the same is for the same family. So somehow you need to decide before which passport are you going to use. Usually, people, this is a privilege actually to have two passports and two citizenship, and this is also the right for you to choose which one are you going to use. Normally, if you are going to, we are again back with the benefits. If you are going to travel to Europe, of course, the Slovenian passport will be much more convenient for you. First of all, you will enter the EU easier way. You will and much quicker way. You can travel within the Schengen countries without, because we have no border. Okay, now it's a little bit different with pandemics, but the legislation is no borders, no checking, so nothing. If you're going from the US to the third countries, there is another benefit that might be that with the Slovenian passport, you won't need a visa that you would need, for example, for the particular third country with the US passport, for example.
Thank you. Okay, we have many people joining us from all over the United States tonight, and it seems like some abroad as well. Can you talk a little bit about if they should be interested in pursuing dual citizenship? Should they be reaching out to your office, or does it depend on where they're geographically located?
Yes, true. Exactly what you pointed out. It is as to geographically when they are located, where they have their permanent residence. For example, we are in charge for 10 states of the EU beside the Midwest states. Also, as I mentioned before, Colorado and Pennsylvania. What is south from this south part, it is already under the Washington jurisdiction. So they should apply there. But somehow we have a lot of people asking whether they can come here, that they are visiting relatives in Cleveland, and we somehow we really have to be strict, not that we don't want to. We have enough clients and the people here applying, but if it's really, I don't know, that somebody is residing here, it's on the wheelchair or something like this, hard to move or ill or whatever, of course we come closer with the people, but normally we keep on obeying the restrictions and the geographically jurisdiction.
Excellent. So we've got a couple of questions related to, I would say, general eligibility questions. So again, we are not able to answer everybody's specific personal circumstances tonight, and we would encourage them to reach out to your office with those particular questions. But here are some general questions for you. Am I correct in understanding that for somebody over the age of 36, the only way to become a citizen is via Article 30?
13, Article 30. No problem at all. Yes, it is true. Now, let me just answer your first point. The submitting of your citizenship, and each case is actually a unique case. This is why I asked for tonight, I'm gladly to answer, but we will get them nowhere because everybody has specific situation. Either they're, I don't know, left when it came to Yugoslavia or before war. Either they were born in Germany, either, I don't know, on the ship on the way to the US. Some of them, they don't know about the parents, but they're sure about the grandparents and so forth. So I think the best way it will be, as I stated a few times in my presentation, to go to our website. For sure you will find yourself. Go through the papers, go through the conditions and try to get a feeling where you fit in. If you have any doubt, any question, please call us. We will be more than gladly to explain it to you. Now, as to your second question, it was about.
We have a couple of other questions here. You know, you had mentioned basically community involvement or involvement in Slovenian culture and things like that. People are asking here, what types of Slovenian groups would meet that type of criteria?
All groups, whatever it is. It should be, there are two conditions under this extraordinary naturalization, we call it. There are two types of documents that the client, the applicant, has to provide. The first one is that you have active connection with Slovenia. Whether you, I don't know, establish connection via Facebook, Twitter, whatever, with the letters, if you are older, with your relatives in Slovenia, or not even relatives, maybe others. If you are writing articles to if you are a musician, if you are connected with the, I don't know, symphony orchestra, or just ljudski pevci somewhere in your village or something like this. And the second document which is required is 5 years actively involvement in the Slovenian organization abroad. This could be folklorna skupina, dance group. It could be choir that you are singing. It could be choir even in the site vitals here in the church, in the parish. It could be whatever connects you together with the Slovenian community here. That means exactly that what we were talking at the beginning. That you feel Slovenian, that you want to also officially become with the paper Slovenian, and that you are proving already that your aim, your wish has been for many years to do that, to get involved even before you applied and submitted your applications.
Perfect.
It could be pristava, it could be it could be Slovenska šola when you attended. Lovsko društvo, SMPJ, KSTJ, AMLA, and others.
Those are some really great examples, and I'm sure they're helping out a lot of people who are viewing right now come up with a concept of how their involvement in everyday might relate to the application process here. So thank you for all those details. One thing that, a question that came up, which I thought was interesting, and I think I know the answer here, but if you could help us explain this. Somebody's asking, you know, we've talked a lot about the importance of gathering documents and documentation and things like that. Conversely, what about a DNA report from, for example, 23andMe, people submitting their DNA? Does that play at all into this process?
No, because DNA is not related with the citizenship. No.
Thank you. Let's see here. We also had some questions related to essentially locating documents and things like that, and locating information about the application process. Is there a specific place on your website to get the application and see the list of requirements that you have laid out in the presentation today?
Yes, of course. Everything is on our website, and to help the people, because we know that many of them, they don't speak fluently Slovenian, or they understand very, very little. So you have in both languages. You can search for English version or Slovenian version, and you have consular informations on our website. Slovenian Consulate in Cleveland, and there is a line with the consular informations, and you have them named like residency, visas, citizenship, taxes, COVID traveling, the news, and so on. So you have everything stated there. So, or study in Slovenia, this kind of things. So I think that everybody who is searching for most of the questions that the people who are calling us are asking are there already. So everybody can find himself, herself, an answer. If not, again, call us. We are there to help you, to advise you, and to guide you in the procedures.
Yeah, and I do want to say on a personal note that I have contacted your office on this very topic and have gotten tremendous service, and thank you so much for all the help from your office. As somebody who's been working on applying for this, it's been very helpful, and I've gotten a lot of great information. So
thank you so much.
For everybody out there, you have a very friendly and helpful Consul General's office here in Cleveland who's willing to help you, which is a great resource to have. So here are some other questions that we have related to documents. Let's see here. The apostles. You had mentioned, you know, I guess just as a recap from our presentation, a lot of the documents that people are gathering to send to Slovenia, you know, for the citizenship process need to have the apostille stamp on them. Do those apostille seals have an expiration date?
You know, the problem is that the documents itself, it must not be, for example, if we are talking about the FBI certificate, it must not be older than 3 months. I know that this is in this times, for the time being, because of the delay in the procedure, it's very difficult. So we are trying to help applicants, and we are sending whatever they gave us, because we know how hard it is to get them for the time being. But for example, we already got, I think, 2 maybe requests that the procedure can go on, but the authorities are requesting, for example, to give us the applicant to bring or to send afterwards, when they will get it, a new, more fresh, so-called, not so-called FBI, for example, certificate. So apostille, we are flexible, but again, it can be the document which is 5 years old with the apostille. As fresh as it, and as that better, you know. So somehow it doesn't have lifetime that like it will expire or something like this. But we would really appreciate if you start the process to to bring the papers, submit them, and that the procedure then is going on in Slovenia. In any case, if the documents need to be, I don't know, need to be, that if they need additional documents, they will let us know. But the importance for the applicant is that the process is already ongoing, you know, in Slovenia, that they are not losing time. So we try as much as we can, but sometimes, but usually people, you know, when they decide that they're going to do it, they collect the papers very quickly, and as soon as they get all the papers from all the authorities, they bring it in and submit it. So we didn't have such an experience that somebody would bring, I don't know, 3 years old or something like this. No.
Great. We have some questions also about generally like eligibility, like you had mentioned specifically, people are eligible up to 2nd generation. So my understanding is this would be a situation in which, for example, a person's grandparents would have been born in Slovenia. Somebody is asking here, what if we're 3rd generation though? Could they apply if their parents applied first? How does that work?
We are talking now about a different thing, so I will have to be more specific. There are possibilities, but they're under the different article of the citizenship law. First possibility is with, again, naturalization, but not extraordinary. But in that case, it is the condition that you are up to 4th generation, so not 2nd, but 4th. Condition is what you here, like Slovenian community in the US, usually do not fulfill. And this is that prior to submission, you need to live 1 year continuously in Slovenia. The same, for example, goes for the spouses. We have many questions about the spouses. first condition is that you are married at least 3 years, and this condition is for most of the people fulfilled, no doubt about it. But the second condition is also that you need to live in Slovenia, and not for a month there, but continuously in the period. So to answer your question, yes, first possibility will be up to the fourth generation if this applicant is living at least 1 year in Slovenia and has official status there. And the second possibility actually is going to be, it depends. If their parents, you ask for the minors, if their parents are applying, but this is again then to second generation, you have to know. If their parents are applying for the extraordinary citizenship naturalization, that means up to second generations with the documents that we listed, active connection with Slovenia, 5 years in the organization, then I think what most people do not know, but it is important, they can also apply for their minor children at the same time, and you pay just one consular fee tax. So, but it cannot be for the older child than 18 years. So, just for the minors. And this is the second possibility. But in this possibility, you are again stuck up to the second generation, unfortunately.
Sounds good. And
there is another possibility which is really extraordinary, and that is actually again naturalization process, but it's the process where the government itself, so the highest executive body of Slovenia, decides about the national interests of the applicant, who is not, for example, second, third, fourth generation, who is not even not necessary Slovenian roots, but they can get citizenship because they are important for Slovenia in different fields. But this is, as I said, extraordinary. Those are professional athletes. Those are, I don't know, we've got a Nobel winner this way, Professor Haldon, for example, and so on and so forth. So there are possibilities, but you really need to contribute on the highest level to the Slovenian national interest, whether is it, I don't know, like economic field, science field, cultural, as I mentioned, sport before, but this is very, very, very rare.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We've got a couple of more here, and we could honestly be here all night answering all the questions that are coming in. I'm going to try and hit on, again, some of the most broad-reaching questions that might provide the most value for our organization here, or the viewers here. Let's see. Let's talk about how people can reach you. You had mentioned a couple of times contacting you during your office hours. Can you talk a little bit about how you're operating right now during COVID, and your office hours, and how people can interact with you?
Yeah, of course. Everybody, I mean, most of the people who use computer or phone or other modern technology, they just type Slovenian Consulate Cleveland, they will get all the information. They will get the address, they will get the website, they will get our Facebook page, they will get our working hours, they will get everything, and even email where to contact you. Us. We have a general email, slowconsulate.cleveland@gov, like 3 letters of the government, gov.si. This is our common email, and we try to answer. Each day we've got more than 200 emails, but we are trying to be to currently and to actually answer all the questions at least in 2-3 working days. Sometimes less, sometimes with a little bit delay, but we answer as much as possible or help. Usually there are such a general question that people, if they will open, our website, they will find out everything. But most of the people, they don't. Somehow it's easier, to write a mail and ask, but it's okay. For the time being, we are working, but we ask the people to contact us just in the the cases which are, for the time being, necessary that they do the business. We know that for the time being, people do not travel to Europe, either Slovenia. So that means they also don't need urgently passport. Though we have people from all over. Today we have somebody from Wisconsin, yesterday from Minnesota. They said, well, but I need to have my passport. I said, are you essential worker? Are you going to travel to Europe, to Slovenia? No, but just in case. But they were 70 years old and they never ever had Slovenian passport, but they decided to have it. So we said, okay, since you came from Minnesota, okay, we will do that. But most of it, because we are working, not that we are not in office, we are somehow working shorter hours. And also there is an understanding as to the social distancing and obeying all the restrictions that are in place, because we are situated in one bigger apartment. We are not the only office or the house, so we need to obey that. So we would ask people to phone us, to call us before, because we are making schedule that the people, we have very, very small waiting room as a consulate, and we don't want people that interfere. So we order people by time, if there are many, for example, especially if they are, of course, I'm talking about the people who are the applicants who are from the different families, not one big family or something like this. So, but I don't know, maybe the notifications or authentications of the signatures that the people are need to finish the things, or they would like to do it because they have a little bit more time. Of course, we are welcoming everyone. We didn't turn away nobody who asked for help, especially not Slovenian citizens. But I will put it this way: if it's not necessary, very, very necessary, please then wait, because you can't travel for the time being, and probably this will stay so for a few months more. So call us, or they are calling 1 year before their passport is expiring. So, and we said, look, you still have your Slovenian passport valid for 1 year. I mean, wouldn't you come? The passport is done in 14 days. So we would ask you then to come if it's possible, if you don't need it urgently, to come, I don't know, maybe a month before your passport expires. But more or less, as I said, we didn't turn anyone who needed help, but we advise to think about the situation a little bit, and do it really when you have to. I would say this.
Thank you. And we will be displaying a slide with all your contact information on it, so that people can reach out to your office if they would like to go ahead and get started with the dual citizenship process. I think that's probably the best way.
Okay.
Again, we have a lot of specific questions on here, which I think your office would be best prepared to handle in an offline conversation. But at this point, I'd like to thank you so much for your time again, and also not just for tonight, but your overall sponsorship and support of Cleveland Krantavania this year. The Consul General has been a tremendous supporter, and her leadership has been extremely helpful in creating a virtual program for the festival this year. So thank you for tonight and for all the other work that you've done to make this week possible.
Thank you for having me and give me opportunity to tell a little bit about our work, how we see it, what we need, maybe to make people our work closer, and also when they decide to do the second citizenship or nationality, to bring them the ideas, what do they need to take care of a little bit better. And again, thank you for inviting us, and of course the same for the cooperation, which was last year magnificent and this year even more. And I'm looking forward for the following years to this really, really excellent cooperation. And please do keep on. Thank you for, I know that you are all volunteering as well. And thank you to keep on with the Slovenian traditions, with Slovenian customs, and not only Slovenian. It's actually an event. Kurentovanje became an event which is highly appreciated, broader beyond the Slovenian community. So thank you also to all of you of the committee and others at the National Home for what you are doing. And again, looking forward for our cooperation in the next coming years as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And to wrap everything up tonight, I'd invite all of our viewers to continue to participate with us throughout the rest of the week. We have a number of other programs coming up. All the information is on our website, clevelandkurentovanje.com, and you can see the upcoming list. We were very happy to see so many people participating in everything that we've done up so far. Tomorrow, you can join us for one of our other cooking classes with Mimi Kozina Kupar. And then Friday, of course, we have the Current Jump live stream. We invite you to sit at home, crack open some beverages, and have some great food in front of your TV and watch Current Jump online. We also have our Current-virtual 5K, which you can still sign up for. The race packet pickup is on Saturday, along with our pickup for the heart-shaped cookies and the food and beverage pickup at Collision Bend. Then following that, we have a virtual concert in the evening with musical talent from Cleveland and abroad, and we cannot wait for all of that to happen. I would like to make one last note that if you would like to pre-order food, that is available online, and links are on our website. Again, if you would like to revisit this program or share it, you can feel free to do so on our YouTube and Facebook channels. Like us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, and we are so grateful for your time and hope that this was valuable for you and that you were able to learn more about the topic of dual citizenship. Thank you again very much for your participation and time, and I hope to see you tomorrow.